Make sure you jot down this answer in your notes, and let's get going here. All right, so yes, this is part 1 of our histology notes. We'll probably have 7 or 8 parts. This is a rather lengthy chapter as we learn these different kinds of tissue. Okay, so tissues. We remember from the organization of the organism, the organization of life. It starts with chemicals like molecules, atoms, and then molecules and atoms come together to make cells. Cells come together to make tissues. Tissues come together to make organs, and organ systems and organisms, so on. So this is what we're on right now, is tissues. What is a tissue? It's a group of cells that carry out specialized activities. Histology is the study of tissues. So histo is a Greek root, and it means tissue, and ology means the study of. And oftentimes pathologists, we have pathologists who study tissues, and often they study cells and tissues that are diseased, and patho means disease. The 4 main types of tissue include epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. And throughout the course of this unit, we're going to be breaking those down into the different types of each of these. And there's a whole lot more than you can probably imagine. Epithelial tissue covers all of our body surfaces and our hollow organs, such as our stomach and intestines, and also our glands. Connective tissue is what binds our organs together, and it's also what brings our muscles and bones together, and it is also used for our energy reserves for fat. Muscle tissue is responsible for movement and force application, what keeps us moving, and nervous tissue stimulates action potential to activate. Now, all of our tissues, if you remember when we learned about cells here this last unit, we talked about stem cells. And stem cells come from embryos. And whenever you were first developing as an embryo, what was developed as germ layers. Okay, first you had the zygote, which was the fertilized egg, and then it started to divide and make more cells. And then it started to specialize into these germ layers. Now, these germ layers are the layers of cells that formed in as you were an early embryo. And we have these 3 layers. They're the ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. Okay? The ectoderm is the primary layer, which gives rise to the nervous system. It kind of looks like the organism develops from the inside out or the outside in, right? Because the nervous system, we know, is encapsulated with your spinal cord and your skull. But your ectoderm is what's forming on the outside here. It's really interesting. Also, the ectoderm is responsible for the formation of our epidermis, which is the outer layer of our skin, too. Mesoderm, M, is the middle layer, meso meaning middle. It's the middle germ layer, which gives rise to our connective tissue, our blood, and our muscles. Endoderm is the lower germ layer. It's this internal one here. It gives rise to our GI tract, which is all of our, gastrointestinal stuff, our stomach, our esophagus, and our intestines, your urinary bladder, and your respiratory tract. So it kind of makes sense that the endoderm is taking place there. Our cells are held together with what we call cell junctions, all right? And cell junctions are the points of contact between adjacent membranes of various cell types. So if you have like one type of tissue touching another type of tissue, it's held together with a cell junction. And there are 3 types of cell junctions that we have in our bodies. The first one is a tight junction. A tight junction, just like the name indicates, is a fluid-tight seal that exists between cells to prevent leaking of their substances or other substances into your blood or surrounding tissues. For example, your stomach lining is made up of a bunch of tight junctions. Your urinary bladder, you don't want all of that waste to get into your body, and also your intestines. All of these are made up of tight junctions. And here's kind of it's a little illustration to show you what a tight junction looks like, kind of. All right. An anchoring or an adhesion junction, also known as a desmosome, it fastens cells to one another. It's common in stretched areas such as the heart, woman's uterus, and also your outer skin. These are anchoring junctions. And a gap junction allows the passage of chemical and electrical signals through connexons, which are these protein tunnels, or they're kind of like hollow cylinders that allow substances to flow between the cells from cell to cell. Different cells that have these kind of things are muscle contraction, and also pain receptors. Pain receptors enable us to get all of those chemicals from one place to another so that we can register pain in our bodies. Oh, I guess that's it. Okay, well that concludes our notes for today. Make sure you write those down. Go back and answer that essential question that we had at the beginning, and stay alert and focused for the activity that you're going to do today on the different cell types or different tissue types.